Three the hard way. Well, all right. And now it gives me pleasure to introduce our host this evening, the first African-American woman and the 45th mayor of the city and county of San Francisco. She is working and has worked to create a more equitable and just San Francisco for all. Since becoming mayor, she's kept her focused on helping the city's unhoused population and in shelter, and keeping her focus on making San Francisco a more affordable, ensuring that all San Franciscans have access to the thriving economy, and making San Francisco a cleaner and safer city. Please welcome Mayor London Breed. Hello. And now our next co-host is the chair of the California State Board of Equalization, one of two African-American constitutional office holders in this state, and the only African-American woman ever elected to the board. Please, okay, I'll say that again. The only African-American woman ever elected to the board. Please put your hands together for the Honorable Malia Cohen. And lastly, our co-host represents the residents of San Francisco's 10th district, including Potrero Hill, Dogpatch, Visitation Valley neighborhoods, and fresh from the supervisor's board meeting to prove that he is still working to help make our community the best it can be. And here to celebrate Black History because he has not forgotten where he's come from. Please welcome Supervisor Shaman Walton. All right, everybody, are we ready to turn up and celebrate Black History Month in San Francisco?
Okay. You know what's so interesting is last year when we held this celebration, I was working it off to be your mayor. I didn't have a chance to hang out at this celebration the way I traditionally do every single year because I had to run off and campaign and do what you needed to do to get elected. And guess what? It worked. Here I am. And the knowledge, another person who is with us today who has definitely made history, African-American mayor of the city and county of San Francisco. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Willie Lewis Brown Jr. You can. Come on, Mayor Brown. Come and hang with the youngsters. We stand on the shoulders of people like Mayor Willie Brown, of people like Reverend Amos Brown, of people that came before us, our ancestors who are no longer with us, but their spirits still reside in the work that we continue to do to push for the city and county of San Francisco. And it is such an honor and an amazing, amazing privilege to serve as mayor of San Francisco at a time when we know we need it most in the African American community. We know that you came to have a good time, so we will chill on the political speeches. We want to see the amazing performances. We want to have a good time. There's incredible wineries, African-American vintners, and incredible African-American restaurants, and incredible African-American performers. Tonight is a celebration of all things that make our city an even better place because of its diversity, because of its African-American community. This is what we wanted to bring to city cultural experience that's shared by each and every one of us. That is what tonight is all about. And I want to thank you all for coming year after year, even braving the rain tonight to be here to celebrate with us. It means a lot. Yes, we know these are challenging times in the city and in our country. We know that as we celebrate Black History Month, which basically is the shortest month of the year, but nevertheless tonight, we know that there are still challenges that persist for the African American community in our city. Today, we celebrated in the Bayview Hunters Point the accomplishments of helping a number of families exit homelessness in San Francisco. And the majority of those families, and let me tell you, even though we represent less than 6% of the population here in San Francisco, those families represent 46% African-American families who are struggling with homeless. We know that there are challenges in our school system, in our housing policies, and everything that we need to do in order to change this city to make sure that we are truly represented here. The work is not done. The work continues of Malia Cohen and Shaman Walton and others who are here tonight. The work continues, but tonight we celebrate our community, we celebrate our accomplishments, and we celebrate our history, because guess what? We are still here, and we still matter, and we're not going anywhere. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening.
Okay, Mayor Breed.
That's Reverend Breed.
Oh, that was Reverend Breed. This is not a stump speech. This is just a welcoming. How are you guys doing? Oh my goodness, let me tell you, this is the 7th annual Black History Month closing ceremony. Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited because as I look out, I'm reminded many years ago when then Supervisor Breed said, let's throw a party to celebrate and close out Black History Month. And I was down for it. Okay, let's have a party. So we called a few people, we called a few sponsors, and we got together. But here we are 7 years later, and this is the largest event that we have held. And hopefully, as we continue to move forward, we will continue to grow and take that momentum out into the streets. I'm excited to be here. Not only are we making Black history in the city and county of San Francisco, but you heard there's a little Black history happening in the state of California. And I got to tell you that it is absolutely remarkable because everywhere I go in Sacramento, they want to know, how does San Francisco do it? Being less than 6% of the population, and we've got real representation.
Okay, set.
Not only in elected office, but also on boards and commissions. And you know what? In my mind, there really is only one person to thank, and that is Mayor Brown, Speaker Brown, who set the tone, who set the bar, who raised people's expectations. And quite frankly, you are looking at the fruits of your labor, Mayor. Thank you very much. Now, if you will permit me to pay a few bills, I'd like to thank our very generous sponsors tonight. You may laugh as you are dancing and eating our food and drink, but that's how we do it. I want to recognize our sponsors: Uber, Facebook, AT&T, Kaiser Permanente, Wells Fargo, Recology, and of course, our world-class NBA champions, the Golden State Warriors. Airbnb has joined us. SF Safe has joined us. Our world-class San Francisco Giants, Comcast, UPS, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Webcor. And a special shout out goes to the team that makes all of this possible. My friend and confidant, Bruce Huey, who is the administrator of Southeast Vision Project. Bruce, come on, you got to take a moment. I also want to recognize the event planning team of the lovely and talented Deanna Roberts from D. Roberts Management. This event would be nothing if we didn't have this beautiful palace, the People's Palace, right here in City Hall. Want to thank our very own city administrator, Naomi Kelly, and her staff that made this possible. And of course, marketing. Where would we be without Michael D. and the registry? Now, yeah, thank you, Mayor Breed, I know. Mayor Breed ain't have an opinion throughout the whole planning section, but she gets on stage, lights, camera, and action. She got something to say. Yes, Mayor, I got you. In true mayoral form. Now, how about those women that sang? Have you ever heard a Negro anthem? Oh my goodness. Now, that is the new arrangement, Reverend Brown. What do you think? I loved every minute of it. Amen. Sarah Williams, Brianna Sinclair, thank you. I also want to recognize we've got some talented entertainment tonight. You guys are going to love it. Every aspect, every detail we have paid attention to. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our newest baby brother, our newest member to the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, keeping up with the tradition of excellence, Shaman Walton. You're welcome, of course.
Good evening, Black people. So first of all, I just want to say that you need to give these two wonderful ladies a hand for all of the hard work they've done and continue to do. Mayor Breed, Board of Equalization Chair, Malia Cohen. Before I go into my words, I have been tasked, of course, to make sure that we do right in accordance with protocol and acknowledge our other elected officials. So first, I want to start with my partners in the work, and I want to thank them for the amazing Black History tribute we paid today to our young leaders and our future in this city and county of San Francisco today. Supervisor Safai, Supervisor Mandelman, Supervisor Fewer, Supervisor Brown, Supervisor Ronan, Supervisor Haney, and of course, my assemblyman and also my neighbor, Assemblymember David Chu. our Chief of Police, Mr. William Scott, Commander Czar, Port Commissioner President Kim Brandon. And if I miss you, it's because I don't. We love you and thank you so much for your service. So tonight, we not only celebrate Black history, but we also celebrate Black present. You see before you the first ever Black woman mayor of San Francisco, the first ever Black woman elected to the Board of Equalization, who also serves as the chair, and the first Black man to ever be elected to serve and represent District 10 here in San Francisco.
Wow.
This is not just about Black history. It's about Black presence and about Black future. So I'm not gonna speak long, but I do want to end with this. And this is to quote President Obama in the speech he gave in March of 2008, before he was president, in Philadelphia. And it says, it requires that all Americans to realize that your dreams do not have to come at the expense of my dreams. I'm gonna say that again. It requires that all Americans to realize that your dreams do not have to come at the expense of my dreams. That investing in the health, welfare, and education of Black and brown and white children will ultimately help America prosper. Black history is our history. Black history is your history. Black history helped build this nation, helped build this city, and we are not done yet. Thank you all so much for coming out and celebrating with us tonight.
Miranda will do it.
I would love to do this. This man meant so much to me. You know, every year around Christmas time, he was such a generous person. He'd do a holiday party, and I'd voice track as I was on the radio. So I'd pre-record my show so that I could MC this grand event. And there's just something about this man who never forgets. I have on my Facebook page an amazing video of the history of your life. You have helped so many people during a time, long before you were an assembly person. You helped people get homes in this very city that could not get a home. I had a woman that posted a story on my page. I had no idea that you had sold real estate, but you could also sue the person who discriminated against the person who couldn't get the house. There was nobody like him. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. He'll always be the Honorable Willie Brown.
You want to sit down? You want to sit down? Yes, sir.
Let me thank Mayor Breed, her two cohorts to my left, Mr. Walton, and of course, a friend of mine. She had the pleasure of introducing me when she was at Lowell High School. And believe me, she was the only Black thing at Lowell High School. I am just delighted that an invitation was extended to me to come join all of you for the 7th anniversary of something that started in 2012 by these two women, and it has moved itself to the point where it has become as appropriate for the whole city as are the other kind of ethnic festivals and activities and days that we honor. I am just delighted that it is being done where Amos Brown doesn't have to speak. It is so good to be a part of all of this for this new generation of Black leadership. Thank you for having an old guy.
All right. I'm just going to announce Harlan. Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, in that spirit, I want to also recognize Harlan Kelly, General Manager of the PUC. And of course, I want to uplift and recognize Sister Cheryl Davis, who is the Director of the Human Rights Commission. Also want to recognize Karen Roy, Department Head for Child Support Services. Also want to recognize Paul Henderson, Head of the Department of Police Accountability. All of these amazing Black leaders in the city and county of San Francisco. It's something to be proud of. And of course, I want to give voice and recognition to every person that's ever served on a commission or a board in San Francisco. Thank you very much for your service. Thank you. Okay. I think you got it all. Thank you, Miranda.
You remember that?
When it comes to Willie Brown, I'm doing all the true life stories. I got to narrate his life story. Did you know he and Moscone were janitors at Hastings College at one point? Willie Brown knows what it means to get down and clean stuff up. All in fun. Are you ready to move on up a little higher? All right, what? All right. Our next cultural expression will come to us in the form of classical song. Back when Eleanor Roosevelt called up Marian Anderson and said, no matter what anybody says, you are standing on the steps of the White House and you are going to sing, and that operatic voice she had, no matter what anybody said. From Paul Robeson to George Shirley to Leontine Price to Jesse Norman, names who have changed the opera game. And thanks to the next voice you hear, the trailblazing is far from over. She's a graduate of Cal Arts and San Francisco Conservatory of Music and the first trans person in the opera program, performing in many operatic works, Carmen, Samson and Delilah, and many more. She's sung with the San Francisco Symphony, Washington, D.C.'s Gay Men's Chorus, as well as a guest artist who recently performed with the Americans for the Arts in the National Convention right alongside Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi. Not majority yet. Named Out Magazine's LGBT Hero of 2015, and on New Year's Eve of 2018 made her debut with the symphony as the first trans singer to perform with the orchestra. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, it's my honor to present Brianna Sinclair. Please put your hands together as she comes to us. Brianna Sinclair. Brianna Sinclair. The trailblazing is far from over. What a voice, eh? What a voice. We continue with our celebration with a native from Bayview, Hunters Point area. Exceptionally talented singer and songwriter who's fiercely determined to bring his brand of rebel soul music into the ears, thirsting for truth, thirsting for funk, and thirsting for rock and soul. He's collaborated extensively with musicians of the Roots, if you know them from the Jimmy Fallon Show. If you're familiar with the Beatles musical Across the Universe, he played the role of JoJo, which reflects Jimi Hendrix. While pursuing his career, our voice of rebel soul continued his education and receiving a degree in media arts from a college that somewhat bears his name, or at least a very famous person bears that name, Morehouse College, with a concentration in entertainment law and marketing, and graduated in 1992. A very famous Martin Luther was also from Morehouse College, so please give a warm welcome to the Bay Area's own Martin Luther.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Whoa, just like that river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know, yes, I know, change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. Well, I go to the movie and I go downtown. Someone's always telling me, boy, don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know, change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. Well, then I go down to see my brother. I say, brother, won't you help me, please? But he just winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Whoa, there were times when I felt I wouldn't last for very long, but now I know I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know it's been a long time coming, But I know it's been a long, long time. But I know, yes, I know, change gonna come.
Martin Luther. Martin Luther. He's going to come back to us in his very own special way. You know, praise dance, I have a friend named Jerry who's here tonight, and he says, praise dance always bothers me. And you know, sometimes things bother you when you don't understand it. So if you don't mind, I'd like to break it down to you where it came from. It's an expression of joy. The human body projects actions and emotions. It's more than just dancing around the stage. Praise dancers are expressive in their bodies and their faces, and it's a mix of mime, modern dance, liturgical worship and dance, soulful gospel music. And this particular group started at the Shekinah Christian Fellowship Workshop Arts Program. And they haven't stopped yet. 3 San Francisco natives, Emmanuel, Justice, and Alana, have taken praise dance genre by storm with their high energy performances, their positive message, and their audience engagement. So get ready to experience gospel music in a way that's sure to stir your hearts and revive your spirit. So put your hands together for Express.
The Lord spoke to me and said, it's not over till God says it's over. It's not over.
Can I have somebody move the podium for me?
God says it's over. Thank you. Yeah, bring it back up. Thank you. It's not over till God says it's over. It's not over till God says it's over. He's with you through stormy weather. Oh, God, God I serve. He fails you never. He's a man of his word. It's not over. Just hold on to your faith. Oh, it's not over. Oh, he'll make a way for your escape. Oh, he has the last say. He's never lost a case. Oh, you cannot go by what it looks like. Because we walk by faith. And it's not outside. You must believe in what Jesus in what he said. He is a man of his word. It's not over. It's not over. Hold on to your faith. It's not over. It's not over. Will you make a way? Make a way for your escape. Never lost the case. Never lost the case. It's not over. It's not over. Somebody needs to know tonight. It's not over. That it's not over. over. Yeah. Somebody been praying all night long. And you said, is my living in vain? And then you even say, is my praying in vain? But the Bible says, when thou prayest, you gotta go into your secret closet. So I want to tell somebody, whatever you need, where is it, y'all? Whatever you need, tell somebody where it is. Now help me tell them to come out of this thing. I'm coming out. 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 I'm coming out of this thing. I'm coming out of this thing. I'm coming out. I'm coming out. I got to come on out. I'm coming out. God said I'm coming out. I'm coming out. Coming out of this thing. Coming out of this thing. It's not over. Bring it on down, y'all. Because they got to hear this. One Sunday morning, I heard my pastor say, you gotta see things that are not as though they were. Oh, you gotta see your way out. Come on, y'all, let's tell them what the pastor said. Oh, yeah. You gotta see it before you see it, or you never will see it. Come on, y'all, tell me. You gotta see it before you see it, or you never will see it. Where's my granny and nephew family up in here? Y'all heard that before. Oh, you gotta see it. You gotta see it. Thank you, Pastor. Before you see it, yeah. Never will see it. Now come on, let's help them come on out of this thing. Oh, yeah, you coming out. You coming out. I'm coming out. I'm coming out. We coming out. We coming out. I'm coming out of this thing. Coming out of this thing. You coming out. You coming out. I'm coming out. I'm coming out. We coming out. We coming out. Coming out of this thing. Coming out of this thing. Coming out of this thing. Man of his word. It's not over. It's not over. Hold on to your faith. It's not over. It's not over. He's never waiting for your stay. He's never lost a day.
Express. Ha-ha. It's all right. That's all right. Did you hear the song say it? It's not over. Somebody here is going through a situation. You think that the gavel has come down on you. It's not over. That's what that expression of dance reminds us of. When you think you want to throw in the towel, baby, it's not over. Yes. Big round of applause once more for Express. We have to continue to inspire our young people because they're serious about their talent. Our next expression will be through spoken word and song. One artist is an artist, an actress, an athlete, an activist, and co-stars in the new show on TV 20, I Remember That Song. She uses her world and her words as a stage and a soapbox. The other is a Steve Harvey Neighborhood Award winner and 5-time Bay Area Entertainer of the Year. Please welcome to the stage Ryan Nicole and Dee Dee Simon. Amen. One more time for that dance troupe, you guys. Please clap your hands. I'm taking in this whole group right now. This is my 4th year doing this event. And it is always a glorious opportunity to see what we are when we are together, when we come together, we put our clothes on, we sit dignified, we talk to each other, we eat our lovely food, and we celebrate our culture. And so there are days like this. I want you to take a mental picture, and I want you to remember that we are in our glory. Every type, every category. From the D-boy to the debutante, yes, and oh my Lord, it's something like a story or that awesome allegory our meemaws used to tell us of the hop in 1940, or our pops in 1960 with his leather and his tam, or maybe our uncles back in the 80s with the newest hip-hop jam. We need to realize today is that day that goes down in time, that we tell all of our grandkids somewhere later down the line. So just rock your smile and all your natural glory as you sashay down these aisles. You're the latest fashion story in a movie for the future as you play your favorite role as the brothers and the sisters with too much glamour, too much class, too much soul. We got it all, right? Yeah. Dee Dee Come on. You guys put your hands together one time. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. What's bad to me? Right. Oh, and brother. See, it's far too many of you die. You know we gotta find a way to bring some love in here today. Father, there's no need to escalate. Why? War is not the answer. No. Only love can conquer hate. Yeah. We know we got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Y'all know it. Come on. Pick your line, sister, and pick a side, sister. Don't punish me, no, with brutality. Come talk to me, baby, so you can see. Y'all know it. What's going on? Hey, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. Hey, way back when we waited in the water until the slave catcher dog fell up off of my stick. Then even before that, it was the water again. So I picked the other tongue way up under the ship. So even our protests with them sound like a sin. Even our freedom song with them sound like a sick. So no matter what we do, we still lose who we win. Well, I ain't playing with games. Then you can take me no names. I just know when I'm back. I just know my place. I want to sit and play a piece and not feel like play. I want to sit and play a piece and not feel like play. Come on. Come on, baby. Everybody says that we're wrong. Come on. Hey, but who are they to judge us? Let me sing my song. Hey, cause you know we got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Hey, pick it like brother. Pick it like brother. What's going on? Here I am, the chosen one. Every sleeping day, the soul of my name is significant. In my relationship, living on the corner time. Go to rhyme, I'm a place, this time and moving up. Just about me, I'm not in the better life. We are the still group five. We are the evidence of the living for the new explanation how we do. The resident and the place and how we do. Brian Nicole, Dee Dee Simon. May I interject a little bit of cultural stimulation for you all? Have you ever been to a concert with African Americans? And you notice that we don't sit here prettily enjoying the concert until the singer finishes singing, we clap prettily. No, if somebody is saying something that's the truth and you feel it, wave your hand and show some signs. It's not rude, it just fuels your spirit. My foreparents got out there and walked and picketed. They made noise. As a matter of fact, I don't have to look too far to find that. I'm an import from Oakland, and right now the teachers in my city are fighting for their rights, for their existence. And they're not sitting there prettily waiting with their signs. We have a lot to feel and express about. In the piece that we're going to hear, I want to tell you a story or remind you of one that we should not forget. Because every time we're trying to make a change, we have to look at history and look at what our ancestors did. It was a miracle. There was a story about our fight for freedom and equality. I can't even tell this story with not including the names, because I don't call them four little black girls. I call them by their names. There was a time when domestic terrorism, and there is a time where it exists right now, hate groups and individuals in America, there were many battles won by us, won and lost many, many lives. In honor of those lives, our next piece we will bring makes us think of Cynthia Wesley, Carol Robertson, Addie Mae Collins, all 14 years old, and 11-year-old Denise McNair. The four were killed in the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church, one of 3 bombings in Birmingham, Alabama. You see, just 11 days before, the federal government, a federal order had come down to integrate Alabama schools. Now, because fear and hatred usually go hand in hand, those terrorists tried to use fear to stop the progress made by the people, Dr. Martin Luther King and others, who put their lives on the line and didn't sit there prettily after the pain and suffering and anger and the killing of Cynthia, Carol, Addie Mae, and Denise. It could not deter them. They could not stop. Our ancestors let nothing turn them around from their goal. Neither did 122 sticks of dynamite that were bought by that hate group, that individual who purchased it to stop integration in the schools, who purchased 122 sticks of dynamite to stop progress in our educational system, who stopped us, who wanted to stop us, those parents who required equal education for their children. We won't forget. And to help us remember, we have the Lyric Performing Arts Academy, which is the teaching arm of the Lyric Dance and Vocal Ensemble, a faith-based organization, a training ground guided by 3 principles: inspiration, education, and service. Tonight, they present a piece in honor of Cynthia, Carol, Addie Mae, and Denise. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lyric Performing Arts Academy. Come on, put your hands together.
Green Sally down, last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, I bring Sally down, last gun start, try to tear the ground.
If you can accept it, you will leave those state troopers flooded with their own barbarity. If you can accept it, you will do something that will transform conditions here in Alabama.
I bring Sally down, last gun start, try to tear the ground.
So I'm not worried this afternoon, however dark it may be. If nations will rise up, live up to meeting of the free. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. That is another part of that great statement. Yet that scaffold sways the future. The strong who can stand up in your opposition, who can stand up in your violence being inflicted upon them and not retaliate with God. When the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure. We will be sure. Oh, glory, glory, oh, glory. Glory. Hands to the heavens, no man, no weapon formed against, yes, glory is destined. Everyday women and men become legends. Sins that go against our skin become blessings. The movement is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is juxtaposition in us. Justice for all just ain't specific enough. One son died, the spirit is revisiting us. True and living in us. Resistance is us. That's why Rosa sat on the bus. That's why we walk through Ferguson with our hands up. When it go down, we woman and man up. They say stay down, and we stand up. We on the ground, the camera panned up. King pointed to the mountaintop, and we ran up. One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be strong. We will be strong. Oh, glory. Oh,
The war is not over. Victory isn't won. We'll fight on. When it's all done, cry glory, oh glory. We'll cry glory, oh glory. For every man, woman, and child, even Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. They march with the torch, we gon' run with it now. Never look back, we done gone hundreds of miles. From dark roads, heroes, to become a hero. Facing the league of justice, his power was the people. Getting me is lethal, a king became regal. Started facing Jim Crow under a raw ego. No his weapon. It's to stay peaceful, we sing. Our music is the cuts that we bleed through. Somewhere in the dream we had an epiphany. Now we right the wrongs in history. No one can win a war individually. It takes the wisdom of the elders and young people's energy. Welcome to the story we call victory. The coming of the Lord, my eyes have seen the glory. One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure. We will be sure. Oh, when the war is won, when it's all and we'll cry. People, come on.
The Lyric Performing Arts Academy. Wow. They told the story, didn't they? Our very last expression will come returning back to the stage. Please welcome once again Martin Luther with our final performance. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together.
I know y'all ready to eat, so I ain't gonna keep this too long. Anyway, it's been an honor and a pleasure to be here performing for you all. This song came to mind when Mayor Brewer was marching on City Hall. It's called Waiting for You. This ain't no illusion, babe. It's time to be just who you are. Get over yourself and stop. Let's make it happen. And you have it's overdue now. Who asked you to pretend? If you're ready, I mean really, then don't hesitate to get up, get up, get up. Let's get it in. 'Cause we've been waiting for you, for this moment to arrive. We've been waiting for you. You give me power and I wanna touch the sky. We've been waiting for you. Ooh. Now we've been waiting now. Hey. Let me know if you're ready to come up, ready to touch the sky. What if we took that chance and dream big, get out the box, get it how you live, get involved and we can get it all. Let's do it together. 'Cause I wanna see you shining like the beautiful stars you are. And I know you're ready, baby, but they'll never know till you let go, let go, let's go. Do it right now. We've been waiting for you, for this moment to arrive. We've been waiting for you. Let me know if you're ready to come up, ready to go, ready to come up, ready to touch the sky. Thank you.
April 7th, Yoshi's in Oakland. Hasn't it been a wonderful evening? Did you enjoy the performers? Once again, a round of applause for our sponsors, Mayor London Breed, the Honorable Malia Cohen, and Supervisor Shaman Walton. Thank you so much for your support. And now we invite you to join us in the Heritage Groove Lounge to enjoy some food, some wine, and a lot of fellowship. I'm Miranda Wilson. It's been my pleasure. Good night.
89.5 FM, KPOO San Francisco and KPOO.com. We've been broadcasting live from San Francisco City Hall, where we've been listening to performers and city officials at the official wrap-up of Black History Month in San Francisco. At the beginning of this month, Mayor London Breed and other city officials welcomed the San Francisco African American community to San Francisco City Hall to kick off Black History Month, and it was the first celebration for Mayor Breed as mayor of San Francisco. And due to various City Hall politics this time last year, London Breed was not mayor, but she is mayor today, and she kicked off Black History Month with a proclamation declaring San Francisco officially as a place that celebrated Black History Month. And before Mayor Breed issued that proclamation, there had never been a proclamation declaring Black History Month in San Francisco. So that's how the mayor kicked off Black History Month. And what we're experiencing here tonight has been a San Francisco tradition of ending Black History Month with a grand celebration in San Francisco City Hall. And I believe this has been going on for the last 7 or 8 years, and it was started by Mayor London Breed when she was supervisor of San Francisco, along with Board of Equalization member Malia Cohen, who was also on the Board of Supervisors when they came up with the idea to have this event in San Francisco City Hall. For you folks who might be listening online at kpoo.com, San Francisco City Hall is one of the most magnificent civic structures in the United States. I'm looking up at the dome, and the dome of San Francisco City Hall is actually a U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. So we are very, very blessed to have such a facility in San Francisco to celebrate and to end Black History Month. And as I said, this is a magnificent facility, and this is an opportunity for San Francisco's African American community to gather and to talk about the good times, relive old memories, and it is an opportunity for African Americans who no longer can live in San Francisco for various reasons to come back to the city and to interact with former friends and relatives. And in the years I've been here, I've run into people who have moved out of San Francisco as far away as Fresno, Sacramento, Stockton, Santa Rosa, San Jose, and this is the opportunity that they have to have a mini reunion. That in San Francisco Juneteenth which is right around the 19th of June, and that is held in conjunction with the San Francisco Black Film Festival. And many people have been raving about a new film that has been years in production, and this movie is called The Last Black Man in San Francisco. And I'm pretty sure they will be showing that film at the San Francisco Black Film Festival. It received rave reviews at the Cannes Film Festival. And many people talk about the fact that you don't have too many African Americans in San Francisco. Some of the speakers noted that less than 5% of the population in San Francisco is African American. And Mayor London Breed, Supervisor Walton, and other luminaries and officials in San Francisco have been working hard to increase that population in San Francisco. And what's happening? And as we wait, we have KPO's Will Hammond. He's been assisting this evening, and he is trying to bring up some guests to talk to. We take it up to 8 o'clock. And I want to thank Barbara Gaynor back in the studio for holding the fort down there. We had a few little technical glitches at the beginning of the broadcast, but we have worked them out, and we are coming to you live from City Hall. And we've been working on this new technology. And sometimes when you roll out new technology, you have to deal with the glitches. But I think we have resolved those problems. And we will be broadcasting live next week from the San Francisco Mardi Gras, which will be happening at 1330 Fillmore Street in San Francisco. And that is another event that celebrates the Black community in San Francisco, and is produced by Adrienne Warren. And hopefully she's here, and we will get to talk to her a few minutes about that event. And for the first time, this will be, I won't say the first time, but this is being held at the Old Yoshi's. And the Old Yoshi's shut down on Fillmore Street a few years ago because of financial issues, but a coalition of folks from the Fillmore District of San Francisco have gotten together to reopen that facility. I was there last week for the blues series that they have every Tuesday evening. I take it some of those folks who aren't here are there right now. And they have some very, very good blues. And Tony was there a few weeks ago. And those folks are working hard to revitalize not only the Old Yoshi's, but Fillmore Street as well. So that will be happening next Tuesday from 6 to 8. We'll be broadcasting live from Fillmore Street. So you want to tune in for that as well. And as we wait for our guests to come in, just want to remind you that KPO is an independent, non-commercial radio station, and we do depend on your donations to keep us on the air, to utilize this technology that we are utilizing tonight to bring you this live broadcast. And I want to thank Ben Fong Torres for the very, very nice article that he wrote in Sunday's Pink section. If you haven't seen it, you can check it out online at kpoo.com. Very good story about DJ Marilyn Fowler. You can hear on Mondays from 9 a.m. till 12 noon on KPOO. And JJ on the radio, Jerome Parsons, the general manager of the radio station, who for nearly the last 20 years has done an outstanding job of keeping KPOO on the air and helping us all here at KPOO be the best that we can be behind the microphone. So if you are enjoying this broadcast tonight and other things that we do at 89.5 FM, KPO San Francisco and KPOO, you can send a tax-deductible contribution to KPOO, P.O. Box 156650, San Francisco, California 94115, or you can make that donation online at kpoo.com, or drop by the radio station at 1329 Visadero Street in San Francisco. And the article mentions, if you read the article, it mentions someone named Joe Marshall. It was a typo. It should say Joe Rudolph, the founder of KPO Radio, and for the longest time, the driving force behind KPO and many of the innovations that we are utilizing today at KPOO. And back in the day, Joe Rudolph produced many many live remotes from places like Keystone Corner and other spots in San Francisco, and we broadcast from Juneteenth as well. But the technology to do live broadcasting got prohibitively expensive, so we stopped doing live broadcasts. But the new technology has come on the scene that has enabled us to do what we're doing tonight, albeit with a few glitches. But we are hoping to do more live broadcasts in the community, and it's not too early to start talking about the Democratic and Republican conventions. We have been broadcasting most of the last 5 or 6 conventions. Joe Rudolph used to go to some of the conventions. He was at the Democratic convention last year in San Francisco, and we broadcast quite a few Democratic and Republican conventions. So that will be happening in 2000. That'll be here before you know it. But again, tonight we're celebrating Black History Month in San Francisco. And what's happening right now, the people who were in attendance watching the performances and hearing the speakers, and we got a little late and we missed the speakers. As I mentioned, Board of Equalization President Malia Cohen, San Francisco Mayor London Breed both spoke about of African Americans having a presence in San Francisco. Former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown was in the house as well. Supervisor Walton was, Sharman Walton was here, and he had a few choice words to say as well. So, an important day in San Francisco. A little earlier today, I was out in the Baby District where there was a celebration of the first anniversary of the Bayview Hunters Point Foundation Center, which is a center which was created a year ago to deal with issues and concerns of the Bayview District of San Francisco, homeless issues, medical issues, social issues. So the mayor was out there today. Danny Glover was there today as well. So they were celebrating things happening in the Hunters Point area of San Francisco. But as I was mentioning, there were, I'd say, about a couple hundred people, maybe 300 people here, and they heard from the luminaries who spoke, and you heard the live performances. But those folks are in one of the City Hall skylight areas where they are showcasing the best and brightest of San Francisco and Bay Area food and drink. A lot of San Francisco Afrocentric restaurants are giving out free food samples. There are quite a few Black-owned wineries, a growing number of Black-owned wineries, and they are giving free tastings as well. And Black-owned businesses from San Francisco and elsewhere in the Bay Area will be passing out flyers and brochures and other things as well. So that's happening right now. So if you're around City Hall, come on by and you can come on in, sample some of the delicious food, drink some of the equally delicious wines, and talk to Black people in San Francisco. And you might run into some folks you haven't run into in a long, long time. You may make some new friends, and I believe some of the tech companies will be represented. Quite a few tech companies in San Francisco, and there's been an issue of whether or not the tech companies are doing what they need to do to help support African American businesses and support the African American community in general with events such as Juneteenth and Kwanzaa. And I was at the Black Joy Parade yesterday in Oakland, which was a celebration of Black history and culture, an East Bay version of what's happening here tonight. And it was a spectacular event, and just about all the major tech companies were in attendance as sponsors. The only tech company I didn't see was Twitter, but the other tech folks, Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, the usual suspects, they were all there. So let's hope that we will see a presence of some of the tech companies at the San Francisco Juneteenth Parade, which again will be happening around the 19th of June. And San Francisco has one of the oldest Juneteenth parades. And the history of Juneteenth, a lot of people don't know about Juneteenth. Juneteenth was the day when slaves in Texas found out that slavery had ended. This was about a year after Abraham Lincoln actually signed the Emancipation Proclamation, but due to a combination of the Civil War, uh, news traveling slowly from DC to Galveston, Texas, where Juneteenth was first created, and feeling by many folks that they just didn't want black folks to know that slavery had ended. But once black people did find out in Galveston on June 19th, they had a big party. And that party expanded throughout Texas, where Juneteenth is a legal holiday, and to other parts of the country as well. Mayor Willie Brown is from Texas, a small town outside of, I believe, Houston, I believe Dallas. So he, along with many, many other black people, came out to San Francisco to work in the Hunters Point shipyard, or was shipped through Fort Mason and the Alameda Naval Air Station and other military facilities in the Bay Area. When they either came back from their military service or were stationed in places like the Presidio once they finished their military service. And other people came to San Francisco as part of the Great Migration. And there is a book that talks about the Great Migration. And many people talk about the Great Migration from the South to the Northeast and to the Midwest, which is the reason why you have so many black people in Chicago, New York, and they made that migration to get away from the hostilities of the South and to get a better life in the North, where racism was not as bad as in the South, where in the South you had legal segregation. In the North, segregation was, I guess you could say, de facto, but anybody who showed up at any of the auto industry plants or other factories in the Northeast could get a job without their race being a factor. So you had many people moving from the South to the North, but you had similar migration from the South and the Southeast to the West Coast. Many people settled in LA, and you had equal number of people coming to California, coming to the Bay Area, particularly San Francisco and Sausalito, to work at the Hunters Point shipyard and to the Marin shipyards across the water in Marin County. So that was the way that many blacks from Texas and Louisiana came to San Francisco and brought traditions with them. And Juneteenth was one of those traditions. And San Francisco has, again, one of the largest Juneteenth parades in the country. And that will be happening on the 19th of June. Around the 19th of June, they try to have it around the actual day of Juneteenth, but often Juneteenth falls during the week. It's kind of like the 4th of July. So Juneteenth organizers try to have it either the weekend before or the weekend after the actual Juneteenth, if Juneteenth doesn't fall on a weekend. And Juneteenth has expanded throughout the Bay Area, and Juneteenth is in Tracy. A lot of African Americans who used to live in San Francisco have relocated to Tracy, which has one of the bigger Juneteenth celebrations. Berkeley has a big Juneteenth celebration. San Jose has a Juneteenth celebration, and Oakland has several Juneteenth celebrations as well. So it's just some of the Juneteenth celebrations that happen here in the Bay Area. Once again, Juneteenth is just part of the traditions of San Francisco that we celebrate every year. And I've been mentioning the Mardi Gras celebration. That's another celebration that has been brought from Louisiana to California. And Carnival is the offset of the Carnival in Mardi Gras tradition. And in addition to the Fillmore Mardi Gras party, there will be a Mardi Gras celebration in the Mission District, and that will be happening next Tuesday, Fat Tuesday. And you want more information about that, you can check out carnivalsf.com for more information. And the director of Carnival, Roberto Hernandez, has worked tirelessly to interact Black culture with Latin culture because much of Black culture is Latin culture. If you go to Brazil, if you go to Colombia, you go to Venezuela, you go to Cuba, you go to Puerto Rico, you will see many, many, many Black people in those countries. In Brazil, the majority population is Black. So Roberto Hernandez has worked to include the mix, the historic presence of Black people in San Francisco, particularly on Fillmore Street, and to interact with the legends of the mission, Carlos Santana, so on and so forth. So that's just part of the celebrations that will be happening in San Francisco. If you're just tuning in, 89.5 FM KPOO and kpoo.com, you've been listening to the wrap up of the San Francisco Black History Month celebration. And I'm Harrison Chesting, and we're waiting for Will Hammond. He is trying to bring some guests up here to talk to about this celebration today, and also talk about just again the importance of Black people in San Francisco. If you want to get a good retrospect and history about Black people in San Francisco, you can check out the work of John Templeton. He is San Francisco historian extraordinaire when it comes to Black people in San Francisco and the Bay Area. He leads tours of Black sites in the Bay Area. I believe KPOO is one of his stops on his Afrocentric tour of San Francisco. So you can definitely check out his site. And hopefully before we get out tonight, we'll be able to talk to him. I believe he is in the house this evening. And you can also check out this. It's a book, Pioneer Urbanites, and it's written by a professor. At the time, he was at UC Santa Barbara. His last name was Daniels. His first name slips my mind at the moment, but this book is an excellent resource about the history of Black people in San Francisco that we are celebrating tonight. It has quite a few pictures of the Black community in San Francisco before the 1906 earthquake, which was down in where Jackson Square is today. And there are also pictures of other historical aspects of San Francisco, and it's a very, very well written book. So you can get that at the San Francisco Public Library, either the main branch or at the Western Addition branch of the San Francisco Public Library. And that branch is on Gary Street, not too far from the KPOO studios on the Visadero. So there's a lot of resources for African American history and culture, and the African American History Month kickoff is produced by the African American Historical and Cultural Society. They are based here in San Francisco, and they do a very, very good job of producing that this event every year. So it's important to make sure that we celebrate the culture of Black people in San Francisco. And at the event in Bayview, marking the 1 year anniversary of the Catholic Charities venue in the Bayview that will be providing services, social services to people in the Bayview district of San Francisco. Reverend Amos Brown was in the house as well, and he spoke right before Danny Glover took the stage. And Reverend Amos Brown is a institution in San Francisco, and he just celebrated his 79th birthday, and there was a big celebration for Reverend Brown, and he got a birthday present, a surprise birthday present from one of the contracting companies in San Francisco, and they said that they would work to retrofit the tower at Third Baptist Church, which is on McAllister Street near the Visadero in San Francisco. And if you go by Third Baptist Church, you will see that there are cracks in that tower, which came about from the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake. And the church has contemplated whether or not to make those repairs, but engineers have that the structure was not in danger of toppling over, but the structure should be repaired when the money was available. So this company has volunteered to make those repairs to help celebrate Reverend Brown's 79th birthday. And again, Third Baptist Church for the longest time has been a fighter for San Francisco. And I remember back in the days when Nelson Mandela was still locked up, Reverend Brown had a big sign outside of his church questioning U.S. policy in regards to supporting apartheid. But Nelson Mandela, through the efforts of Reverend Brown and many other people, was free, went on to become president of South Africa, came here to the Bay Area, and personally thanked people like Reverend Brown for his efforts to fight against apartheid. And Reverend Brown and his church has always been on the cutting edge for advocating for not only the rights of Black people, particularly low-income Black people, LGBT people. And this was at a time when it was not popular for many Black ministers to come out in support of the LGBT movement. But Reverend Brown did not hesitate to say that all people are his brothers and sisters, and it doesn't matter whether or not they are Black, white, gay, or whatever. So Reverend Brown, he is here. So again, we're hoping to maybe try to get him on before we get out of here in just a few minutes. And again, you're listening to On the Spot, a live version of On the Spot. I'm Harrison Chastain, and I want to thank Barbara Gaynor once again for holding the fort down in the KPOO studios. And we'll be doing this next week from the Fillmore Heritage Center, 1330 Fillmore Street in San Francisco. Many people call it the old Yoshi's, and they will be celebrating Mardi Gras. So you definitely don't want to miss that. And again, if you're in the area around City Hall, come on by and hang out with us, and they'll be here till about 9:30. But if you're in the Fillmore, you might want to drop by Fillmore Street and to check out the blues. They have blues every Tuesday at the Fillmore Heritage Center. Not too expensive covers, so not doing anything tonight. Go on by there and check that out. And I want to remind you one more time that KPO is an independent, non-commercial radio station, and we do depend on your donation to stay on the air. So if you're enjoying this programming tonight, make sure you send that tax-deductible donation. I have on the KPOO T-shirt, the new KPOO T-shirt, and I've been getting a lot of compliments. And if you don't have the new KPOO T-shirt, you should drop by the radio station and pick one up, or give a ring during daylight hours, business hours, and ask whoever answers the phone about purchasing the new KPO T-shirt, which was produced by Marilyn Fowler, who you can hear on Mondays from 9 a.m. till 12 noon. And the T-shirt features album covers of various types of music that we play on KPOO. Jazz albums, blues albums, reggae albums, you name it, is on this T-shirt. So if you don't have one, you need to get one. And we have the vintage KPOO T-shirts as well. The T-shirts, oh, please, 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 James Brown T-shirts, and the other T-shirts that we issued back in the 70s and 80s and early 90s. So if you don't have your KPO T-shirt, either the new KPO T-shirt or the old KPOO T-shirt, you need to get that T-shirt right away. And again, we've been celebrating Black History Month at San Francisco City Hall, and there were various speakers who were talking about the importance of a Black presence in San Francisco. San Francisco Mayor London Breed was speaking. Former San Francisco Supervisor and Board of Equalization President Malia Cohen was talking about her time on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors and how she was thankful for San Francisco's African American community for supporting her, not only for her elections on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, but in her new job as president of the State Board of Equalization. So we want to congratulate her on that. Also, new supervisor Sharman Walton was here, and former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown was talking about his time here in City Hall as well. So it was a fantastic event. It's something that happens every year in San Francisco. And we are happy to bring you at least part of this. And the twins, Melanie and Melora Green, they will not be in tonight. I believe they'll be back next week. So coming up at 8 o'clock, you'll be able to check out some serious straight ahead music on KPOO. And at 10 o'clock, the Spirit of Joe Rudolph with Terry Collins will be on the air. And we've been mentioning the legacy of Joe Rudolph. And when people here at San Francisco City Hall wrap up for Black History Month, talk about luminaries, Black historians, Black important people in San Francisco, Joe Rudolph is always mentioned in that context. And that I could go on and on all night long talking about the many things that Joe Rudolph did in helping create KPOO Radio and to make KPOO Radio what it is. But one of the most important things that Joe Rudolph did was to realize he was a luminary in that he saw things before they happened. And he realized this real estate market in San Francisco was going to go bananas. So he did what he needed to do to make sure that KPOO had a permanent home in the heart of San Francisco. And when you hear us talk about our pledge drives and the need to pay the bills, one bill that we don't have to worry about is escalating rent. In San Francisco, there's no rent control for businesses. So one problem that Mayor Bree says that she's working on is to try to keep more Black-owned businesses in San Francisco. In the last few years, we've seen quite a few Black-owned businesses in San Francisco close. Farmer Brown's closed late last year. 1,300 restaurant closed, and various other Black-owned businesses have closed as well because of a combination of the rent being too high and workers not being able to afford to live in San Francisco. So that has been one of Mayor Bree's priorities. But when a business gets a 300, 400, 500% rent increase, they can't afford to stay in business anymore. And if we had to pay a landlord, we would be at the whim of a landlord's desire to make more money. So if the landlord knocked on the door and said, we're raising KPOO's rent to $1,000 a month, which some businesses have seen as far as rent increases, we wouldn't have been able to pay that, and we would be off the air, be playing country western. But Joe Rudolph made sure that KPOO had a permanent presence in San Francisco, and Joe Rudolph will be forever remembered as one of the most important Black people in San Francisco. So we're waiting a few more minutes. We're hoping to have some people come on up to talk about this celebration tonight. So if we can't get anybody up here, we will do some interviews and bring them on subsequent on-the-spot programs. And this has been a fantastic ceremony, Black History Month in San Francisco. So they're starting to chase us out here. We're on the second floor of San Francisco City Hall. So we're going to wrap it up. And we want to thank you for listening to 89.5 FM KPOO San Francisco and kpoo.com and the live broadcast from San Francisco City Hall Black History Month wrap-up celebration. And again, want to thank staff and management of KPOO for making this possible. So on that note, going to take it back to Barbara Gaynor at the KPOO studios. Thank you for listening, and thank you for keeping your dial set to KPOO San Francisco and kpoo.com. I'll be back Mike's side tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. with the KPOO Evening News. So until then, do take care. Have a very good evening and a good rest of the week. Good night.